What's going on? We're going to talk about NFL Week 15. Let's get into it. Of course, the Rams beat the 49ers in that lackluster game, which was just a field goal odyssey because both those teams played crazy games respectively. 49ers looked they played their best ball against the Bears that Sunday and the Rams against Buffalo, which was a crazy shootout. But they were pretty much winded when they played against each other Thursday night. It just was a 12-6 field goal kicker odyssey. And kickers can still kick. So the Rams are a dangerous team if they get in. If they get in, watch out because they could be a problem for the bottom feeder. One of those teams that you got to kind of be careful about if they get going. Washington beat New Orleans. If you're a Washington Commanders fan, you got to be always biting your fingers off the last 10 seconds of the game because their games are crazy. Of course, they won a game against Chicago, lost the one in Dallas. This one was a fingernail biter because they stopped New Orleans from the 2-point game-winning conversion. Games be close. Washington's a better team than they were, but their games are a lot like Kansas City. And though they're not as talented as Kansas City, their games are as entertaining at the end for not reasons that you may not want. Kansas City beat Cleveland. Patrick Mahomes had a little bit of an injury. We're going to find out how severe it is. Jameis Winston doing Jameis Winston things. He tends to forget he only plays quarterback for one team. Throwing picks left and right. Jeremy Rome Ford was running that thing. Kansas City, Kareem Hunt did enough. Mahomes just couldn't get no rhythm or cadence. But Buckner missed a kick. The game was closer than it should have been, but it was the most impressive non-happen to wait at the end Kansas City game they've had in quite a while. Because this game was, they won. So they're 13-1, and they still do quite impressive, even though we'll see how Mahomes is, but it's an impressive win. Cincinnati beat Tennessee. I want to call this the Benny Hill game because remember when Benny Hill and the ball head dude used to go turnovers, sloppy play. Will leaving Tennessee's quarterback doing his usual turnover. Jameis Winston might be his hero because that's what he'd be turning that ball over. Joe Burrows, they were there and they made Cincinnati's defense look legit. Oh, if Cincinnati could have played teams like Tennessee, they might be where they're supposed to be in the playoffs. Because Burrow's having a stat padding year and what have you, but just too little too late. But that's how that went. Houston beat Miami. I think 2 was about done. He took a hit. CJ Stroud. It was a clutch win for Houston. Strengthening themselves. Then they're going to win the division. And Houston going to be interesting how they close out. But Miami was a big loss in a lot of ways, and they never really got going. Houston's defense came up big in this game. So Baltimore beat the Giants. Lamar Jackson, if it wasn't for a couple of games, he'd be in MVP consideration highly because he was in it. You get to play the Giants, of course you're gonna like an MVP. Was it Danny DeVito? I don't know. Tommy DeVito, whoever back there for the Giants at quarterback, you suck, you stink, tank. Don't even waste your time trying. Just getting your butt blow out. And that's all it was. It was another spanking. It was just bad. Jacksonville and the Jets. Kind of like you want to say the Benny Hill part 2. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams hit on some big plays. But Mac and Cheese Jones actually played pretty good in this game for Jacksonville. 2 sorry scrub 3-10 teams battling it out. And it was a close game. And what do you expect? I'm sure the sorry heads that be still giving Aaron Rodgers some hope on his heads on sticks on these networks are going to say, well, you see what happened? He ain't see nothing happen. The Jets secondary is a joke. The Jets were fortunate to get the game. They really were. I mean, it was 2 lackluster teams, 32-25 at this stage. Come on now. Aaron Rodgers is still considered retiring, though. Because there was a couple passes in that game. And I'm going to tell you something. He get planted one good time. It's a wrap. Dallas spanked Carolina. I actually had the audacity to say this was not a bad looking 3-10 team, that Bryce Young was playing pretty good. And they did hit that bomb before halftime, but that's all they had. They looked like what they are. They look like one of the worst teams in the NFL. Whatever little mini high they had for a couple weeks, they resorted back to being Carolina. Cooper Rush and them beat that butt up. The running back for Dallas got going. And the Cowboys are just a waste. They're not making no playoffs, but it was, one of their better wins. They look better on the road than they do at home. Just saying. Tampa Bay beat the Chargers. And I don't know if Baker Mayfield is getting into the almost good category because the Chargers defense looked horrible. I mean, they had no answer. Mike Evans was looking like one of the receivers. I say Mike Evans is like the Larry Fitzgerald that you don't talk about because Mike Evans got behind them, was tearing their behind up. And the Chargers, I thought Harbaugh had the Chargers. Like I said, it's going to be another year or two before we see what the Chargers really are, you know. And this was smoke and mirrors 101. Tampa Bay waxed that behind. It wasn't even close. Denver beat Indy. Really came down. You know, a guy who I really think a lot of, but he disappointed was Jonathan Taylor. Man, just cross the line with the ball. Stop dancing. Get to the touchdown zone, and then you can dance. That would have been 20-7. They reversed the call. You fumble before you cross the paint. You up there dancing, and that may have changed the outcome of that game because Bo Nixon was doing his best, the quarterback for both teams. 3 touchdown passes, 3 picks. But Denver hung back and came back. Sean Payton got them in the right direction. I still think they're about a year or two away. But I think they're definitely one of those teams that will definitely be a problem in a year or two. Because they definitely played, you know. And this was a game that Indy should have won. Anthony Brown played Richardson played pretty good. But that fumble, I think, that was a 14-point swing. Because at that point, teams were just kind of like going up and down. And Nixon was throwing picks for both teams. You know how that goes. So, that's a cautionary tale game. Arizona beat New England. Kyler Murray looked good. Well, if they don't have to play Seattle, Arizona looks like a legit team. Just a situation where they just, New England sucks. And they are a 10-loss team. Drake May did okay, but Kyler Murray was too much in that game, so it wasn't even for discussion. Green Bay beat Seattle. The Packers looked like grown men last night. I mean, they really towered over. I think Geno Smith got knocked out. Jordan Love looked good. John Jacobs, the running back who they got from the Raiders. I'm gonna tell you something. If it weren't for Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, I was saying Jonathan Taylor, but Jacobs was probably the third best receiver. It wasn't running back. If it wasn't for that, this cat been balling. They look good. They spanked Seattle. Now Green Bay probably is probably the best of the second tier teams. Look, I still see what Minnesota does, but Green Bay and the Rams could be a problem on the bottom cut if Detroit and Philly would have slipped off. That's the teams because they right there. Jordan Love tends to peak around this time. Seattle was flat. They got waxed. They looked very fraudulent last night. And of course, I just got to talk about Philly. Philly spanked Pittsburgh. They got physical with them. There was a funny video. The second half, Pittsburgh only had 2 real possessions in the second half. Philly chewed clock up, moved the rock, and Saquon didn't even really get down. Jalen Hurts, it was a Jalen Hurts game. And A.J. Brown got down. Philly's defense doesn't get enough due. They tend to make you look bad. I'm going to tell you right now, that could be a problem. If Philadelphia gets through, they could be a dangerous team because their defense. Remember what I was talking about New Orleans earlier? Never would have seen if they beat them. Philly has a way of making you play ugly. So their defense and their offense, and they could be the team to come out the NFC. I'm just saying because they haven't had no games. Their offense was stagnant, wasn't looking too good, but their defense, they right there. As for Pittsburgh, Russell Wilson he had a couple of decent passes, but he looked ordinary yesterday. And they couldn't really get nothing going because Philly makes you play ugly. Of course, the game of the day, my Buffalo Bills beat Detroit, and it was a wild game. Now, I don't want the Bills to start playing like they Steph Curry because you don't want to be like you Golden State. You can't be having these 48-42 games. That's not good because you got to score 50 points to beat a team, and they should have been able to wax them. They let Detroit stick around. I'll give Jared Goff his due. He's not scary. Aside from that one turnover, that fumble, they need the team really stop the other, which that's fun for the casual fan, but if you got a rooting interest, that's not good. And as a Bills fan, they got to tighten up on defense. They cannot let teams stick around. Even if it's garbage time, you want to send a message. You don't be, because that was pretty much a 10, 14-point game. We beat them, but it didn't stop them. And that's the problem that I see. Of course, Josh Allen is going to be MVP right now. I think he made the statement. He came up big. He won the game in Kansas City. This was a huge statement after that game against the Rams. He been a one-man show. But James Cook got balling, and you got to let James Cook run. Because I got to tell Sean McDermott, let James Cook cook. Don't let Josh Allen look like a one-man band. Let James Cook cook. Because that's how the Bills are going to do something. Because you fear him get hurt. And your defense is suspect, so you got to do something. So, big win for the Bills. I'm sure people heads on sticks gonna have a lot to say. The Bills are one of the top 5 teams. People are trying to downplay them. We know the Bills belong there with Detroit, Philadelphia, and Kansas City, and then you can decide whoever the fifth team is. And it makes no order what you say. They're one of the top 5 teams. Whoever you put at number 5 is on you. But to make sure you got it right. But I'm not impressed in the sense that they got to play better defense. Great win though, because Detroit is scary at home. And talk about a rabbit's foot. They always seem to come back. There's 2 more games, which I'll discuss tomorrow. Be Minnesota and Chicago, and Atlanta and Vegas. I think Minnesota and Atlanta should win, but you never know, because I don't think the Bears are gonna do much, and the Raiders then kind of checked out. But anyway, that's Week 15 so far. Let me know how your team did below in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another shitter if you like, and hit that membership. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out one time. Peace.